At first, people thought it was a strange cloud. It was too large and too smooth to be natural. It did not move with the wind. It did not break apart. It simply stayed there high above the blue sky, like a silent shadow. Then more shapes appeared. They came without fire, without sound. Without warning, massive silver structures slowly formed above every continent. They were so large that they blocked sunlight in some cities. The oceans reflected their cold metal surfaces. Within minutes, the world knew. They were ships. Phones began to ring. News channels cut into normal programs. Airplanes were ordered to land. Military bases went into full alert. People ran into the streets, looking up with fear. The ships did nothing. No beams, no explosions, no messages. They just waited. 3 hours later, every screen on Earth turned black at the same time. Television screens, phones, public displays, even digital billboards. A symbol appeared. It was simple. A circle surrounded by smaller circles. Then a face appeared. It was not human. The being had pale blue skin and calm, silver eyes. Its voice was deep but steady. It spoke perfect English. People of Earth, do not be afraid, and at your ciels I receive delicate crowds. We are the Galactic Council. The world held its breath. We have come because you are in danger. A great threat moves through this region of space. Your planet is young. Your species is unprepared. We offer protection. Cities fell silent. The being continued. If you accept our guidance, we will defend your world. We will place a shield around your system. We will share knowledge to ensure your survival. Then the screen went dark. No attack followed. No further explanation came. Inside the United Earth Assembly Building in Geneva, leaders from many nations gathered in emergency session. Some wanted to fire missiles immediately. Others said that would only start a war humanity could not win. Military radar showed the ships were not aiming weapons. They were positioned in orbit, steady and organized. A woman stood near the center of the chamber, listening more than speaking. Her name was Mira Hale. She was the appointed Earth ambassador for first contact situations. She had studied alien communication theory for years, though no one truly expected aliens to arrive. Now, they had Mira's dark hair was tied back simply. Her eyes were calm, but her mind was moving fast. Something felt wrong. The message had sounded peaceful, almost kind. But it had also sounded certain. Too certain. The council had not asked if humans wanted contact. They had said humans were in danger. And they had said it as if it were a fact. A second message arrived that afternoon. This time it included coordinates and an invitation. A small group of human representatives was requested aboard the largest ship hovering above the Atlantic Ocean. After hours of debate, the assembly agreed. Refusing might be seen as aggression. Mira was chosen to lead the delegation. A transport shuttle descended from the massive ship. It moved smoothly through the air without visible engines. It landed gently on a secured runway. Mira stepped forward with 2 advisors and a small security team. The shuttle door opened without sound. Inside, the air felt cool and dry. The walls were curved and silver. There were no visible controls. The shuttle rose again, carrying them toward the enormous craft above. As they entered the ship, Mira forced herself to stay steady. Fear would not help now. They were guided through wide halls filled with soft white light. Strange beings moved quietly along the corridors. Some were tall and thin. Others were shorter with heavy builds. Different colors, different shapes, but all moved with discipline. The council chamber was vast. It was circular, with rising levels of seats, and dozens of alien species sat in silent observation. At the center stood the same blue-skinned being from the broadcast. "I am Varen," he said calmly, senior voice of the Galactic Council. Mira stepped forward. "I am Mira Hale, representative of Earth." Varen inclined his head slightly. "You have come at a critical time," he said. Your planet has entered a dangerous zone. A hostile force expands through nearby systems. Mira kept her voice even. What force? Varen paused. A destructive power. It consumes resources. It does not negotiate. That is not specific, Mira replied. A low murmur moved through the chamber. Varen's expression did not change. You must understand. Your species does not yet possess faster-than-light defense capability. You cannot detect this threat as we can. One of Mira's advisors shifted nervously, but she remained still. If this threat is so near, she said, why have we not seen signs? You will, Varen answered. The way he said it felt like a promise. Another council member spoke, a tall figure with golden eyes. The council has protected over 300 developing civilizations. Without us, they would have fallen. A display appeared in the center of the room. Images of planets filled the air. Cities under shining shields. Peaceful alien worlds. We offer the same protection, Varen said. In exchange, Earth will temporarily transfer military authority to Council Command. This ensures coordinated defense. The words were smooth. Temporary. Coordinated. Protection. Mira looked at the images carefully. They were beautiful. Too beautiful. What happens to those worlds after protection is established, she asked. They thrive, Varen replied. For how long? A pause, until the threat is gone. And how long does that take? Another pause. Time varies. The chamber felt colder. Mira stepped slightly forward. You ask Earth to give up control of its defense systems, to trust a force we have never met, based on a threat we cannot see. Varen's silver eyes narrowed slightly. We are offering survival. From who? Mira asked. The chamber quieted. From extinction, Varen said. Mira held his gaze. From who? She repeated softly. You. Several council members shifted in their seats. A few whispered to each other. Burns' voice became firmer. The council does not threaten. We prevent chaos. Then show us proof. Mira said calmly. Clear data. Coordinates. Evidence of this approaching force. Varan's hands folded behind his back. Such information is restricted for security reasons. Mira felt something click in her mind. If the threat was real, why hide it? The golden-eyed member spoke again. Young species often struggle with trust. Mira did not react to the word young. Trust works both ways, she replied. The meeting continued for hours. The council repeated its offer. Protection in exchange for authority. Safety in exchange for control. When the delegation returned to Earth, the world was divided. Some leaders argued that refusal would be suicide. Others agreed with Mira. Something felt hidden. That night, alone in her office, Mira reviewed every word spoken in the chamber. She slowed the recordings, studied Varen's tone, his pauses, his careful answers. There was no clear lie, but there was no clear truth either. Her screen blinked. An encrypted file appeared. No sender name. No origin trace. Her security system showed no breach. She hesitated, then opened it. Images filled her screen. Planets not shining worlds like the Council had shown. These were dark cities half empty. Infrastructure abandoned. Mining equipment covering large areas of land. Council ships hovering above. Data scrolled beside the images. Population decline after protection agreement, military disarmament within 1 year. Council resource extraction contracts activated within 6 months. Mira's heart beat faster. She cross-checked the planetary names with public council records. They matched. But the public records described those worlds as peaceful and stable. The file ended with a short message. Look deeper before you sign. No signature, no explanation. Mira leaned back slowly. If the file was real, the Council was not just protecting, it was taking. The next morning, global news reported strange readings from deep space, faint signals at the edge of the solar system. The Council quickly responded, claiming it was early movement from the hostile force. Fear began to spread among the public. People asked their leaders to accept protection. Mira stood before the United Earth Assembly once more. "They are rushing us," she said quietly. "Fear is powerful, but we cannot make permanent choices based on incomplete information." A defense analyst named Elias Reed requested permission to speak. He was known for careful logic, not emotion. "Our deep space sensors have detected objects," he confirmed, "but their energy signature does not match unknown technology." The room went silent. "It matches something else," he added. "What?" a leader asked. Elias swallowed. "It matches the Council fleet." A low wave of shock moved through the chamber. Mira felt cold. If the approaching objects were Council ships, then there was no external threat, or the threat was already here. High above Earth, the silver ships remained still, like silent judges waiting for a decision. Varen sent a new message that evening. "Time grows short. The hostile force approaches faster than expected. Sign the protection accord within 48 hours. Mira watched his face carefully. There was no fear in his eyes, only pressure. She turned to the window of her office. The massive Council ship was visible in the sky, reflecting city lights. For the first time since their arrival, she did not feel like humanity was being offered help. She felt like humanity was being measured, tested, and quietly cornered. Her screen blinked again with another message from Elias. "Confirmed. Incoming fleet carries Council identification codes." Mira closed her eyes for a moment. The real question was no longer from who, it was why. And she had only 48 hours to find the answer. Mira spent the night thinking. She could not sleep. The images from the secret file kept playing in her mind. Planets once full of life, now empty and silent, cities abandoned. Machines left running but useless. The Council had promised protection, but these worlds showed something else, something darker. She knew she had to act fast, but she also had to be careful. One wrong move could trigger a full takeover by the Council before anyone truly understood what was happening. Early morning, she met with Elias Reed at a small, secure lab hidden in the outskirts of Geneva. Elias was quiet, methodical, and cautious. He had always preferred numbers and sensors to speeches and politics. He was reviewing data from the deep space sensors and the records of other planets that had agreed to Council protection. "Look at this," he said, pointing to a holographic display. Mira leaned closer. The planets were marked with dates. The first images showed healthy cities, bustling life, advanced technology, but within months after signing the Council's protection agreement, factories stopped working. Populations dropped sharply. Military satellites disappeared. Mining operations began under Council supervision. Officially, the decline was explained as natural resource exhaustion, but Mira could see patterns. "They were disarmed first," Mira said. "Their armies, their defenses, everything." Elias nodded. "And then the resources. Look at the mining schedules." Every protected planet had something unique that the Council wanted. Rare elements, new energy sources, technology they could use. Mira frowned. "They claim they protect worlds, but they exploit them. That is not protection. That is occupation." They worked for hours, cross-referencing the file's information with public data. Many of the planets had thriving economies before the Council arrived. Some were even capable of defending themselves. But once the Council took control, populations began to drop, either by forced relocation or unexplained shortages. Mira felt a chill run down her spine. If the same happened to Earth, humanity would have no chance to fight back. Suddenly, Elias pointed to another screen. "There's something strange here. Signals detected at the edge of our solar system." Mira turned quickly. "What kind of signals?" "They are strong. They are moving in a coordinated fleet formation." At first we thought it might be a hostile force, but when we traced the energy signature, it matches Council fleet technology. Mira's eyes widened. You mean the Council is sending their own ships? Elias nodded. Yes, the so-called enemy fleet they warned us about. It's already here, waiting. Mira felt a sinking feeling. The Council had lied, or at least they had manipulated the truth. There was no approaching enemy. The threat had always been themselves. She leaned back in her chair, pressing her palms to her face. For years, humans had been told to trust powerful forces for safety. Now she saw the danger was closer than anyone had imagined. She stood up. We need to warn Earth's leaders. We cannot let them sign the Protection Accord blindly. They must see the truth. Elias hesitated. Mira, the Council will not allow open defiance. If they realize we have evidence, they could respond immediately. I know, Mira replied calmly, but fear cannot rule our decisions. Humanity needs a choice, not control disguised as help. They prepared a report. Every chart, every image, every pattern of decline was documented carefully. Mira added notes explaining the risks of agreeing to protection without full verification. She decided to meet the next morning with the United Earth Assembly. The Council demanded a decision in 48 hours. Time was short. The following day, Mira entered the assembly chamber. The room buzzed with tension. Leaders from every nation were present. Some looked pale, terrified of the unknown fleet hovering near Mars. Some clutched tablets, reading council updates. Others whispered about the fate of protected worlds. Mira took a deep breath and began speaking. Leaders, the Council claims to protect us from an enemy. They say Earth is weak. They say we must accept their authority for our own safety. But evidence shows that their protection may not be what it seems. Planets that signed agreements with the Council were disarmed, exploited, and their populations declined. Some were even abandoned entirely. The Council controls what you see publicly. We have discovered files showing the real outcome of their so-called protection. A murmur ran through the room. Leaders exchanged nervous glances. Mira continued. Sensors detect a fleet approaching the solar system. The Council calls it a hostile force. But our analysis shows that it carries Council identification codes. The fleet is theirs. The enemy is not from outside. The threat has always been the Council itself. A government official interrupted. You cannot prove this. They could be attacking soon. We cannot risk humanity's destruction. Mira held her gaze steady. The Council has provided no evidence of the enemy. Only warnings, pressure, and fear. We cannot trade freedom for a promise based on fear. We must understand fully before acting. Some leaders nodded quietly. Others frowned. The debate was tense. Mira knew they needed more than words. They needed a plan. She and Elias began organizing a small team of engineers and defense analysts. They worked on Earth's new shield system, a network of devices powered by deep ocean energy. The project had been classified, designed to protect the planet from minor asteroid impacts, but Mira realized it could be expanded. It could defend against advanced technology, even Council ships, if deployed quickly. Night fell. Mira returned to her apartment overlooking the city. The largest Council ship hovered silently in the sky, reflecting streetlights like a massive silver moon. Its presence was constant, a reminder of the pressure the world faced. She could feel it pressing down on humanity, waiting for a decision. Her communicator buzzed. Elias had sent a new message. I found more files hidden in the Council's broadcast network, planets not listed in the original file. Some were entire mining colonies. All show rapid decline after protection agreements. Mira felt the weight of responsibility. Humanity had 48 hours to decide. If they failed, Earth could follow the same path as those other worlds. Disarmament. Exploitation. Loss of freedom. She leaned back in her chair, staring at the ceiling. A question echoed in her mind. If the Council claims they are protecting us, why is fear their tool? Hours later, Mira met with Elias again. We need to simulate the shield network, she said. If we can show the Council that Earth has defenses, even limited, we gain leverage. They cannot claim we are helpless. Elias agreed. It is risky. If the Council realizes our shield is operational, they could attack preemptively. But you are right. Without action, we are already at their mercy. They worked through the night. Computers hummed. Projections formed in the air. Energy flows were mapped. Shield generators calculated for maximum coverage. By morning, a full simulation was ready. Mira presented it to a small advisory council. This is our proof, she said. We are capable. We are not defenseless. If the Council truly wishes to protect us, they will not demand submission from a people who can defend themselves. The group was hesitant, but agreed. Messages were prepared for global broadcast. Evidence of the approaching fleet, the hidden files, and the shield simulations were ready to be shared if necessary. Meanwhile, the Council fleet remained at the edge of the solar system, silent. Their position was aggressive, yet they waited, confident. Varen's calm face appeared on Earth's screens again. Time is limited. Accept protection or risk destruction. Mira looked at the screen and whispered, "No, not like this." She felt the weight of history on her shoulders. She thought of the worlds that had fallen under the Council's protection. She thought of humanity, untested but not weak. The file had shown what others had lost, but it had also shown what might be avoided. Mira made her decision. Earth would not yield without understanding it. Earth would not accept fear as truth. They would face the Council with knowledge, with caution, and with courage. The day moved forward. Global tension increased. Citizens watched news broadcasts of Council ships. Some prayed, some protested. Fear spread like wildfire. But Mira knew one thing. Fear alone would not decide humanity's fate. Action would. Thought would. Choice would. And she had a plan. That night, as the sun set behind the massive silver ship, Mira prepared her message. It was simple. She would not ask for protection. She would demand clarity. She would question the Council openly. She would reveal the truth of the hidden files. Elias entered the room quietly. "Are you ready?" Mira nodded. "We have no other option." If we wait, Earth could be next in the files. Together, they activated secure communications and began the transmission to global leaders. Images of the hidden files appeared. Sensor data of the approaching fleet, simulations of the Earth shield. Every fact laid bare. For the first time, humanity would see the full picture. The Council had warned of fear, chaos, and destruction. But the real power lay in knowledge, and Mira was ready to show it. The next morning, the world awoke to the shocking truth. The fleet at the edge of the solar system was not a mysterious enemy. It was the Council's. The planets that had accepted protection had vanished into controlled decline. Earth had choices to make, and time was slipping away. Mira stood on the balcony looking at the silver ship that hung over the Atlantic Ocean like a silent judge. She did not feel fear, she felt resolve. The real battle had just begun, and it was not in space. It was in truth. It was in courage. It was in choice. Mira had asked the question no one dared to ask. From who? You! Now the answer would lead humanity into its first real test. The Council had come to protect, but the human spirit would decide what protection really meant. Time moved forward. 48 hours remained, and the world waited, uncertain but awake. Mira knew the coming days would test humanity like never before, but she also knew one thing clearly. Humans were not weak. Not yet, and they would prove it. Mira sat in the secure command room staring at the data streams that filled the holographic screens. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of the computers. Outside, the Silver Council ships hung over the planet like frozen stars, their presence both majestic and threatening. Every leader in the world was watching the events unfold, waiting for guidance, waiting for a sign of what would happen next. Mira knew that hesitation could cost humanity everything. She could see it clearly now. The Council was not offering protection. They were testing, manipulating, and waiting for humanity to surrender without resistance. She turned to Elias Reed, who was standing near a console, reviewing energy readings from the incoming fleet. His face was pale, but his mind worked steadily. "The fleet is holding position just beyond Mars' orbit," he said. "No aggressive maneuvers yet, but they are ready. If they move, Earth's defenses could be overwhelmed before our shields are fully operational." Mira frowned. "Why are they waiting?" "Because they know we can resist, at least partially," Elias replied. "They are confident, but cautious. They do not want unnecessary losses. Their goal is compliance, not war, at least not yet." Mira nodded slowly. The truth had become clearer with each passing hour. The Council had always acted the same way with other civilizations: create fear, offer control disguised as protection, and take what they wanted while the planet accepted without question. Now, Earth was next, and if humanity failed to act wisely, the same fate would follow. She activated a secure line to a small group of trusted scientists and engineers working on Earth's shield network. "We need full operational readiness," she said. "Simulations show that we can withstand direct assault for a limited time. We need to expand that coverage and synchronize energy flow across all stations. No mistakes." Hours passed as the team worked tirelessly. Energy nodes were activated across the oceans, mountains, and deserts. Systems hummed with power, linking together in a massive, invisible network designed to protect the planet. Mira and Elias monitored every detail, running simulations and stress tests. Each time the shield held. It was not invincible, but it was strong enough to force the Council to reconsider immediate aggression. Meanwhile, Mira requested a private meeting with a small Council delegate named Tarek. Tarek was from a minor species, small in size but wise in demeanor. He had shown interest in Mira's questioning during the first summit. Mira knew she needed allies even among those aligned with the Council. "Tarek," she said as he entered the chamber, "I need to understand more about the Council. You have been part of this organization for a long time. Tell me why planets fall after protection. Tell me why the Council hides the truth." Tarek's eyes flickered with hesitation. "You are brave to ask such questions, Mira Hale. Many on my world are afraid to speak. The Council operates under the guise of peace, but in reality it thrives on control. Planets that accept protection lose independence slowly. First their defenses, then their governments, then resources. Finally, they are bound to the Council's will, and most cannot resist." Mira's jaw tightened. "And the fleet near Mars? They claim it is an enemy. But sensors show it is Council technology." Tarek nodded. "It is true. They fabricate threats to force compliance. Fear is their tool. Obedience is their goal. Planets rarely fight back because they are not prepared to see the truth in time." Mira's mind raced. "Then we are not negotiating with protectors. We are negotiating with masters who expect submission. If we cannot convince our leaders and the world, Earth will become the next example." Tarek placed a hand on the console. "You have something they do not expect: awareness. You see the patterns. If humanity acts wisely, you can survive and maintain independence. But you must act quickly and with intelligence." Mira nodded. "I understand. I will need all the help I can get. Can you provide guidance on which species within the Council might support us if we confront them openly?" Tarek hesitated. Some smaller delegates questioned Varen's authority. They fear him, yes, but they also remember the founding purpose of the Council: to prevent war, not to enslave. If you expose the truth, and if you present evidence clearly, some may side with you. But it will be dangerous. Varen will not yield without challenge. Mira's expression remained calm, but inside she felt the weight of responsibility. "Then we will prepare for confrontation. Not with weapons, with truth." Elias entered the room quietly. "Mira, I have cross-checked the fleet's movements with Council communications. There is a pattern. But they monitor Earth continuously. Any sudden action on our part could alert them immediately. If we want to act, it must be subtle, precise, coordinated. Mira turned to him. Then we must continue preparing shields, but also prepare our message. We cannot negotiate blindly. We cannot wait for them to control us. We must show the Council that Earth is not weak, that humanity has knowledge, foresight, and choice. For days they worked tirelessly. Teams of scientists and engineers coordinated the shield network, while Mira and Elias analyzed Council communications, files, and sensor data. They discovered hidden Council archives showing detailed reports of every planet under protection. The more they read, the more the pattern became undeniable. Disarm, exploit, reduce population, then enforce dependence. Meanwhile, tension on Earth continued to rise. Citizens saw the silver ships above, unchanging, omnipresent. Some panicked, some prayed. Some protested. Governments argued. Fear spread like wildfire, but so did curiosity. People wanted to know the truth. Mira's team carefully prepared a secure message that could be broadcast to all leaders and military officials worldwide, showing the evidence of hidden Council exploitation and the incoming fleet's true identity. Mira gathered her closest team in a secure underground facility. "We cannot rely on fear to make decisions," she said. "We have the proof. We have the technology. We have the ability to act. The Council expects obedience, but humanity has choice, and we will prove that choice matters." Elias nodded. "The shield network is operational. We can hold the planet against direct assault, at least temporarily. It is not complete protection, but it is enough to buy time." Mira moved to the main console. Time is exactly what the Council fears. If they see that Earth is not helpless, they cannot force compliance without risking their own forces. We will show strength, intelligence, and unity. Not aggression, not fear, not Samaya. Choice. The room was silent. Everyone understood the stakes. If the Council chose to act aggressively, humanity could survive long enough to respond intelligently. If humanity hesitated, submission would follow within hours. That evening, Mira received another encrypted file from an unknown source. It contained records of planets not included in the first file. Mining colonies, energy-rich worlds, entire civilizations that had vanished after signing protection agreements. Every file confirmed the same pattern. The Council did not protect it. They controlled. Mira studied the files carefully. The Council had carefully disguised every act, creating a false history of peace and prosperity. She realized how dangerous their influence could be if humanity failed to resist. She called Elias over. "We need to simulate the Council's enforcement strategies. We must predict their next moves and prepare for them." They worked through the night, running models of possible Council maneuvers. They simulated fleet positioning, energy weapon deployment, and psychological tactics designed to force compliance. Every simulation ended with the same conclusion. Earth could survive, but only with coordinated defense, intelligence, and unity. By morning, Mira prepared her message to world leaders. It was clear, precise, and undeniable. Evidence of the hidden files. Proof of Council manipulation. Data showing the fleet near Mars carried Council technology, and simulations of Earth's shield network demonstrating humanity's capacity to defend itself. She knew this message would not be received easily. Many leaders feared Varan and the Council. Many feared the unknown, but the truth had to be told. Mira took a moment to look at the sky. The silver ship hovered silently over the Atlantic Ocean, reflecting sunlight like a massive mirror. It was beautiful, and it was terrifying. Its presence reminded her that the world was being measured, tested, and manipulated. She thought of the planets that had vanished, of civilizations reduced to shadows of themselves. She thought of humanity, untested but resilient. And she felt a surge of resolve. The real question was no longer from who. The real question was, will humanity choose to stand? Mira activated the secure transmission. The files, the data, and the simulations flowed through every communication channel to leaders and military commanders worldwide. For the first time, humans saw the Council as it truly was, Not saviors, but rulers who demanded submission under the guise of protection. The world reacted instantly. Some leaders were shocked, some angry, some afraid. Citizens watched broadcasts with wide eyes, realizing the danger had never been from outside forces. The threat had always been the council itself. Mira turned to Elias. "We have forced the question into the open. Now the real work begins. Convincing the world, preparing the planet, and confronting the council without losing our freedom." Elias nodded. "It will not be easy. Varen will not back down quietly, but Earth has advantage now. Knowledge is our shield, and our shields are real. We can face him without surrender." As the day passed, global cooperation increased. Nations began sharing resources for the shield network. Defense systems were synchronized. Scientists and engineers worked together like never before. Fear did not disappear, but it was balanced with determination and clarity. That night, Mira looked at the silver ship above the ocean. She knew that the council watched constantly, expecting submission, but submission would not come. Humanity had seen the truth. Humanity had prepared. And when the council finally demanded obedience again, Earth would respond not with fear, not with surrender, but with knowledge, unity, and strength. The battle of wills was far from over. But for the first time, humanity had a real chance. Mira felt it in her bones. The real threat was the council's control, and the real defense was humanity itself. And she would not let Earth fall without a fight of intelligence and courage. Time was running out. The fleet still waited near Mars, and the council was growing impatient. But Mira had something they could not predict: the human spirit. And the human spirit, once awakened, would not bow. Mira stepped onto the observation deck of the Earth Command Station. The view of space was breathtaking and terrifying at the same time. The massive silver ships of the Council hovered above the planet, reflecting the sun like cold mirrors. Beyond them, at the edge of Mars' orbit, the fleet waited. They were not enemies, at least not yet. They were a test, a measure of humanity's strength, and a demonstration of the Council's power. Mira felt the weight of responsibility press down on her chest. Every decision in the coming hours could decide the fate of the planet. Inside the command room, Elias Reed monitored the shield network. The energy pulses ran smoothly, connecting generators across oceans, deserts, and mountains. Every station was fully operational, feeding power into the protective barrier surrounding Earth. It was the largest defense system humanity had ever attempted, but even with all that energy, Mira knew it was only a temporary advantage. The Council's technology was far beyond human engineering. They had to act cleverly, not forcefully. A secure communication line buzzed. Mira answered. Tarek, the small delegate from a minor council species, appeared on the holographic screen. His expression was serious. "The council is aware that you are preparing defenses," he said quietly. "They are observing your progress closely. Some members question Varen's methods, but he is confident that humans will submit if pressed. You must be careful." Mira nodded. "We have no intention of submitting." "We intend to show strength, yes, but also intelligence. We are not helpless, and the world must see that." Tarek hesitated. "Some delegates may support you if you act wisely. Others will resist any open challenge. The key is proof, not rhetoric. Show the truth, demonstrate capability, and appeal to reason, not fear." Mira's eyes narrowed. "Then we will prepare a demonstration, not weapons, not attack, but undeniable proof that Earth is capable of defending itself and that the Council cannot coerce submission." She gathered her team. Engineers, scientists, and defense analysts worked together, reviewing simulations and sensor data. They created a detailed projection of Council fleet movements and energy distribution. The simulation showed that the fleet, while formidable, could not strike the planet without serious risk. The shield network could absorb direct energy beams and redirect them. Every weak point in the Council's approach was identified and accounted for. Once the simulations were complete, Mira prepared her presentation for the emergency summit. She requested a secure location where representatives of all council species could attend without interference. The council agreed, expecting Earth to yield. They did not suspect that Mira intended to challenge them openly. On the day of the summit, the council chamber was tense. Ships of dozens of species surrounded the assembly room. Some council delegates whispered to each other, nervous about the incoming human presentation. Varen sat at the center, his expression calm, but there was a faint tension in his posture. He expected submission. He expected fear. Mira stepped forward, flanked by Elias and a few key engineers. She did not raise her voice. She did not show anger. Calmness, clarity, and precision were her weapons. "I am Mira Hale," she began, "representative of Earth. We have received your warning. We have seen your offer of protection. And we have studied your history. We are not ungrateful. But we will not surrender freedom for fear." She activated the projection system. Images appeared above the assembly floor. Planets that had accepted council protection were displayed. Cities once bustling were now empty. Military satellites disappeared. Mining operations expanded under council supervision. Graphs showed population decline, economic collapse, and resource extraction. The chamber fell silent. Some delegates whispered. Others leaned forward examining the evidence. The golden-eyed council member looked uneasy. Even Varen's eyes flickered briefly, though he quickly regained his calm demeanor. Mira continued. "The council has presented itself as protector, but these planets tell another story. Protection came at the cost of independence, at the cost of life, and at the cost of choice. Humanity will not follow that path." Next, she displayed sensor data from the approaching fleet. The energy signatures, fleet formations, and communication patterns revealed the truth. The so-called enemy was the council itself. Every movement, every signal, every energy pulse matched council technology. The attempt to manipulate Earth through fear had been exposed. Varen's voice broke the silence. "You accuse the council of deception without proof. These claims are baseless and dangerous. Do you threaten the stability of this system?" Mira met his gaze. "I do not threaten it, I reveal. The truth is the foundation of stability. Fear is not stability. Manipulation is not stability. Consent is. And we have consent only when choice is respected. The chamber murmured. Smaller delegates exchanged glances. Tarek's holographic image flickered with quiet approval. The human shield system was activated in real time, and a glowing barrier formed around Earth. Council members could see the energy pulse circulating across oceans and continents. It was subtle, but unmistakable. Earth was prepared. Humans had a defense. Varen's expression hardened. "You demonstrate limited technology. You cannot withstand the full might of the Council." Mira replied calmly. "We are not claiming invincibility. We are claiming intelligence. We are claiming foresight. We are claiming the right to exist with autonomy. If you wish to cooperate, do so with transparency and equality. If you wish to threaten, know that we can defend ourselves long enough to make informed choices." Whispers turned into discussions among delegates. Some questioned Varen's approach openly. Others hesitated, afraid to challenge him. Tarek spoke quietly, reinforcing Mira's point that knowledge and preparation were stronger than fear. The summit continued for hours. Evidence, simulations, and live demonstrations of human readiness filled the chamber. Each moment chipped away at the Council's expected compliance. Delegates began voicing support, suggesting reforms, questioning past practices, and expressing doubt about Varen's methods. Finally, Mira addressed the chamber again. The Council was founded to prevent war, not to control worlds. If protection is truly your goal, it must be offered without coercion. It must respect choice. Humanity will not surrender under threat disguised as aid. The time for fear has ended. The time for reason has begun. The chamber erupted into discussions. Varen's voice attempted to regain control, but the tide had shifted. Smaller species that had long been silent now spoke boldly. Some admitted they had feared Varen for centuries. Some criticized his tactics openly. Mira watched silently, allowing the evidence in human resolve to speak louder than words. The council members were forced to confront a reality they had not expected. Earth would not bow to fear. Humans had prepared, and humans had knowledge. The summit concluded with a vote. The results shocked the chamber. Several council species withdrew their support from Varen's leadership. They demanded transparency, autonomy, and fair negotiation. Varen attempted to override the vote with emergency powers, but delegates hesitated. The truth had spread too far, and the momentum was no longer his. Outside the chamber, Earth's population watched live transmissions of the events. The world saw the council fractured, debating openly, and forced to reconsider its approach. Citizens realized that fear alone could not decide humanity's fate. Knowledge, preparation, and courage had turned the tide. Mira stepped back from the podium. She allowed herself a brief moment of satisfaction, but she knew the story was not over. Far beyond the explored regions of space, sensors detected a signal unlike any before. It did not match council technology. It was something unknown, something truly alien. For now, Earth had survived the first trial. Humanity had proven it could stand against manipulation and coercion. The council had been forced to respect human autonomy, at least temporarily. But the unknown signal in deep space was a reminder that the universe held greater challenges yet to come. Mira felt the weight of responsibility return. She turned to Elias, who was monitoring the shield network. "This was only the beginning," she said softly. Elias nodded. "Yes, but humanity has shown that we are not helpless. We have knowledge. We have unity. And that is our greatest strength." Mira looked out at the stars, the silver council ships hovering above the planet, and the unseen fleet at the edge of the solar system. The universe had taken notice of humanity, and humanity had taken notice of the universe. The summit had ended, but the real journey had just begun. Mira knew the next steps would test every skill, every mind, and every heart. She also knew that humanity had passed the first test, to stand without fear, to speak without hesitation, and to show that choice was more powerful than coercion. The galaxy had watched, and Earth had answered. And in the silence of space, far beyond the planets and moons, the unknown signal pulsed once more. The council was in chaos. Their chamber, usually a place of cold order and silence, was now filled with arguments, whispers, and shifting alliances. Delegates that had long followed Varen without question were speaking out. Some demanded clarity, others demanded reform. Varen himself stood at the center, silver eyes narrowed, his calm authority beginning to crumble. He had expected obedience, but Earth's demonstration had shown that humans were capable, that fear alone would not make them submit. For the first time in centuries, the Council faced doubt from within its own ranks. Mira watched the events unfold from the command center, her eyes steady on the holographic display. She knew this was the moment to act. The Council had fractured, but the future was not yet secured. She turned to Elias Reed, who was monitoring energy levels across the shield network. The pulses of power were steady, flowing through oceans, mountains, and deserts. Every station was linked, feeding energy into the planet-wide barrier. It was strong, but it needed to remain hidden as the Council deliberated. Any premature display of full strength could provoke aggression before support for Earth had solidified among the delegates. "Elias," Mira said, "we need to send a message to the Council delegates who are questioning Varan. They need to know we can defend ourselves and that we are ready to negotiate as equals." Elias nodded, typing rapidly. "I can prepare a secure demonstration using sensor data and shield simulations. It will show capability without being overtly aggressive." While Elias worked, Mira contacted Tarek through a secure line. The small delegate's holographic image flickered into the room. "They are uneasy," Tarek said. "Many smaller species have doubts, but they fear open confrontation." If you show restraint, combined with readiness, they will be more likely to support your position. Mira's gaze hardened. Then we will act wisely, not rashly. We show that Earth is not weak, but we do not attack. We demonstrate intelligence, unity, and preparation. That is our advantage. Over the next few hours, Mira coordinated with engineers and scientists to expand the shield network for the demonstration. They calculated energy flow to create subtle pulses visible from Council sensors without overloading the system. It was a careful balance, enough to impress, but not enough to provoke. Every adjustment was precise. Every node was tested. The human team worked silently but efficiently, fully aware that the galaxy was watching. Meanwhile, delegates in the council chamber continued to debate Varen's leadership. Some openly criticized him, arguing that Earth's evidence and shield demonstration proved the council had been coercive. Others defended him, claiming that fear and compliance were necessary to maintain order among developing worlds. Varen attempted to assert control, issuing orders to his fleet and demanding immediate submission from Earth, but many captains hesitated. The council's structure relied on the assumption of obedience, and that assumption had been shattered. Mira's message to the chamber was ready. It was concise, clear, and undeniable. She began the transmission. Holographic images displayed the planets that had vanished under council protection, showing the sequence of disarmament, exploitation, and population decline. Sensor readings from the fleet near Mars were displayed, proving that the so-called enemy was part of the council itself. Finally, simulations of Earth's shield network appeared, demonstrating that the planet was prepared, capable, and intelligent. The chamber fell silent. Some delegates gasped at the clarity of the evidence. Some whispered to each other, reassessing everything they had believed about the council. Varen's silver eyes narrowed, but even he could not fully dismiss the presentation. The momentum had shifted. Fear no longer ruled the room. Knowledge did. Tarek spoke first, his voice quiet but firm. The evidence is undeniable. We cannot continue to claim authority without consent. Protection must be offered, not imposed. Other delegates followed. A small blue-skinned species, long silent, criticized Varen openly. We have been complicit in coercion for too long. The young worlds must have choice. Autonomy cannot be taken by force. Varen attempted to override the vote with emergency powers, but hesitation spread through the chamber. Enforcement fleet captains paused, unsure whether to follow his commands. The human demonstration had changed the calculus. They could not risk full-scale aggression without the support of all delegates, and now many questioned his authority. On Earth, citizens watched the broadcast with amazement. The council's fracture was visible in real time. People began to understand that the threat had never been external. Fear had been the tool. Now, knowledge and unity were the defense. Governments coordinated to strengthen the shield network further, linking resources and sharing information. The world moved together, not as separate nations, but as a single force of preparation and awareness. Mira felt a brief surge of satisfaction, but she did not relax. The council was not defeated. Varen still commanded loyalty among some of the most powerful species. The fleet outside Mars' orbit had not withdrawn, and far beyond, the unknown signal in deep space pulsed with mysterious energy, a reminder that challenges yet to come would be even greater. Elias approached, monitoring energy flows across the shield network. The system is stable. Even if Varen tries a limited attack, we can withstand it long enough to negotiate or respond. Mira nodded. Then we keep our position. We do not provoke, but we are prepared for any action. We must remain calm, intelligent, and united. That is what the Council fears most, that humanity will not bow without reason. The summit continued. Delegates debated reforms, transparency, and autonomy. Varen attempted to regain control, but the tide had turned. His arguments no longer held the unquestioned weight they once did. The Council's history of coercion had been exposed, and the human demonstration proved that Earth could not be bullied into submission. By the end of the day, a resolution was passed, Several species formally withdrew support from Varen's leadership. They demanded a restructuring of the Council, transparency in all agreements, and respect for the autonomy of all worlds, including Earth. Varen's authority collapsed. The enforcement fleet paused, awaiting orders that never came. The structure that had held fear as its foundation was breaking apart. Mira allowed herself a brief moment to breathe. The world had witnessed a turning point. Humanity had survived the first test. The Council had been forced to acknowledge that fear alone could not dictate choices. Knowledge, preparation, and unity had prevailed. But even as the celebrations began, sensors detected the unknown signal far beyond the explored regions of space. It pulsed rhythmically, its technology unfamiliar and alien. It was a reminder that while the immediate threat from the Council had been mitigated, the universe held dangers that no human shield or simulation could fully anticipate. Mira stood at the observation deck, looking out at the silver ships above and the calm surface of Earth below. The planet had passed its first true trial. Citizens had seen the Council's manipulation. Governments had coordinated like never before, and humanity had demonstrated intelligence, courage, and resolve. Yet, the unknown signal pulsed steadily, waiting. It promised challenges unlike anything humans had faced before. Mira knew that the story was far from over. The Council's collapse had bought time, but the galaxy was vast and full of mysteries. She turned to Elias, who was monitoring the shield network. We have shown strength without aggression. We have revealed the truth. But beyond this, there is more to face. We must remain vigilant, united, and prepared for the unknown. Elias nodded. Yes, humanity has proven it can stand against manipulation. Now we must prove we can face what we do not yet understand. Mira felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders once more. She knew the next phase would test every skill, every decision, every ounce of courage. But she also knew that Earth had shown something remarkable. The human spirit was not weak. It was capable of foresight, resistance, and unity. And when the time came to face the unknown, humanity would not cower. It would stand prepared not just to survive, but to shape its own destiny. For the first time, the Council had been forced to respect human autonomy. For the first time, humans had seen the universe clearly, not through the lens of fear, but through the lens of truth. And far beyond, in the darkness of deep space, the unknown signal continued to pulse. It was a challenge, a mystery, and a promise. Mira looked at the stars and whispered to herself, "We are ready." The galaxy had taken notice of humanity, and humanity had taken notice of the galaxy. Earth had survived the first trial. The real journey was only beginning, and Mira knew that when the unknown came, humanity would meet it not as the weak, not as the protected, but as equals, prepared to face whatever waited beyond the stars. Mira stood on the observation deck, her eyes fixed on the silver council ships hovering silently above Earth. The events of the past days had been extraordinary. The Council, once feared across hundreds of worlds, had been forced to pause, reconsider, and acknowledge humanity's autonomy. Earth had proven that fear alone could not dictate its destiny. Citizens around the globe were beginning to understand that knowledge and unity were as powerful as any weapon. Yet Mira knew that the galaxy held secrets far beyond the Council's influence, and a new challenge was already pulsing in the darkness of deep space. The unknown signal detected weeks ago had grown stronger. Sensors revealed patterns, irregular pulses, and energy signatures unlike anything the Council fleet or human technology could immediately identify. Elias Reed monitored the readings in the command center, his face tense. The signal is intensifying. Its energy output is massive, but it doesn't match any known propulsion or weapon system. It's deliberate, but we cannot determine its intent. Mira frowned. Intent? It could be communication, or it could be a weapon. We have no reference. Everything about it is unfamiliar. Elias nodded. Yes. It's too precise to be random, and it's too coordinated to be natural. Whatever it is intelligent. Mira pressed her palms to the console, her mind racing. Humanity had survived one test, but this was unlike anything they had faced. The Council had been manipulative, powerful, and intimidating. Yet the unknown signal held no known rules, no history to study, no precedent to guide them. It was raw uncertainty, and uncertainty was dangerous. "Prepare the shield network for full activation," Mira ordered, not as a threat, but as a precaution. "If this signal is hostile, we cannot afford delay." Teams of engineers across Earth worked in unison, synchronizing every generator, recalculating energy flow, and reinforcing the planetary shield. As the system hummed to life, subtle arcs of light traced over the oceans and mountains. The shield was visible now to sensors beyond the planet, a silent warning that Earth was ready to defend itself without aggression. At the same time, Mira convened her closest advisors. "We need a strategy that does not rely on fear," she said. The Council tried that, and it failed. The signal is unknown, but we can approach it with intelligence, observation, and preparation. We will act only when necessary, but we will be ready for any scenario. One of the analysts, a young woman named Leona Kim, spoke cautiously. "We have limited data, but the signal seems to respond to our energy readings. It reacts to changes in the shield's output. Perhaps it is scanning us, learning our capabilities. Then it is testing us, just as the Council did. But this is different. We are not negotiating under threat. We are observing, analyzing, and preparing. That is our advantage." Hours turned into days as teams monitored the signal. It moved slowly through the outer solar system, pulsing with energy in irregular intervals. It did not approach aggressively, but it did not retreat. Its behavior suggested intelligence and intent, yet no aggression. Mira began to suspect that the signal was not an enemy but a probe, a test, a challenge, or perhaps a message waiting to be decoded. Elias approached Mira with a new reading. "The signal is emitting frequencies that match no known human or Council communication protocols, but we can detect patterns in the pulses. I think it is attempting to convey information, possibly even asking for a response." Mira's eyes narrowed. "A response? Then we need to communicate carefully. We cannot assume it is hostile, but we also cannot assume it is benign. Any misstep could be dangerous." They spent hours devising a communication attempt. Using the shield network, they generated precise energy pulses designed to mimic the patterns of the unknown signal. The idea was simple: respond in kind, test for understanding, and avoid any aggressive display. The human message was cautious, precise, and deliberate. When the pulses were transmitted, the response was almost immediate. The signal altered its pattern slightly, mirroring Earth's transmission. Mira felt a chill run down her spine. This was intelligence. This was contact. And unlike the Council, the entity beyond the stars was unknown, untested, and unbound by expectation. The Council, still hovering in orbit above Earth, observed the interaction in silence. Some delegates whispered among themselves, realizing that humans had taken initiative where the Council had always tried to control. Varon's silver eyes were narrowed, but he said nothing. His fleet remained steady, watching but restrained. But Mira suspected he did not understand the entity either, and that uncertainty made even the Council cautious. As the days passed, the pulses became a form of dialogue. Patterns were repeated, mirrored, and slightly altered, as if testing human comprehension. Mira and Elias worked with linguists, mathematicians, and scientists from around the world, trying to decode meaning from the signals. Slowly, small patterns emerged, energy sequences that corresponded to numerical concepts, geometric patterns, and basic logic. It was a form of communication unlike any Earth had experienced, but it was a start. One evening, Mira looked at the stars from the observation deck. The Council ships were quiet, Earth's shield glowed faintly across the planet, and the unknown signal pulsed steadily in the distance. Humanity had survived manipulation and coercion from the Council. Now it was facing a test of understanding and intelligence against something completely new. Leona joined her, holding a tablet filled with data. "We've identified repeating sequences in the signal," she said. They seem to be establishing basic concepts, numbers, patterns, sequences. It's almost like it's trying to teach us a language. Or it's trying to learn from us. Either way, it's intelligent. And we have to treat it as such. We cannot assume hostility, but we must be prepared for it. The council delegates continued to watch, uneasy. Varen spoke softly to his captains. Do not interfere. Humans are acting independently. We cannot predict their actions. Observe only. Mira realized that for the first time, Earth was not under direct pressure from the Council. The real challenge was now the unknown. The signal represented potential, risk, and knowledge. How humanity responded would shape the future, not just of Earth, but possibly of contact with other civilizations. Over the next several weeks, humanity's communication with the unknown signal deepened. Patterns of logic became clearer. Small exchanges developed into complex sequences resembling questions and responses. Mira marveled at the intelligence behind the signal. It was not malevolent. It was curious. And curiosity, she realized, could be as powerful as any weapon. Meanwhile, the shield network remained operational, a silent reassurance that Earth could defend itself if necessary. Citizens had learned the truth about the Council, and global cooperation strengthened. Nations shared technology, energy, and knowledge in a way humanity had never experienced before. Fear had been replaced by determination, and uncertainty had been met with preparation. Mira convened her team for a final review before initiating the next communication step. We have observed, analyzed, and responded. The entity beyond our solar system has demonstrated intelligence. It is not aggressive, but it is aware of us. Our next step is deliberate. Continue dialogue while maintaining readiness. The Council has been shown we are not weak. Now we must show the universe that humanity is capable of learning, understanding, and choosing wisely. Elias nodded. The shield remains strong. The signal responds to logical sequences. I believe we can continue this safely. Mira looked out at the glowing blue shield surrounding the planet, the silver council ships still hovering, and the distant pulsing signal. She felt a profound sense of clarity. Humanity had faced coercion, manipulation, and fear. It had survived because of intelligence, preparation, and unity. Now it faced the unknown with the same qualities. A final pulse was sent toward the unknown signal, carefully encoded with sequences representing Earth's solar system, human mathematics, and basic concepts of life and communication. The response came within minutes, patterns slightly altered, reflecting understanding. Mira felt a thrill of realization. This was contact, real, intelligent, deliberate contact. For the first time, humans were not passive observers. They were participants in an exchange with an unknown intelligence. The Council, despite its power, could only watch as Earth demonstrated initiative, understanding, and courage. Mira turned to Elias. We have passed the Council's test. Now we face the universe's. And this time, humanity is not afraid. We are ready to learn, to communicate, and to act. We are not weak. We are not helpless. We are capable. Elias smiled faintly. And we are not alone. Whatever that signal represents, it recognizes intelligence. That alone changes everything. Mira felt the weight of responsibility lift slightly, replaced by determination. Earth had survived manipulation. Earth had survived fear. And now Earth was on the threshold of a new chapter, an encounter with the unknown, guided by knowledge, courage, and the human spirit. The Silver Council ships remained above, silent witnesses. The unknown signal pulsed in the distance, a mystery waiting to be understood. And humanity, for the first time, had shown that it could face the galaxy, not as a weak species, not as one to be protected, but as equals, ready to engage with intelligence and wisdom. Mira stood on the observation deck, looking at the stars. The planet beneath her glowed softly with the shield network. The Council's fleet hovered silently, and far beyond, the unknown signal continued its rhythmic pulse. The journey was far from over. The challenges ahead were immense. But humanity had learned the most important lesson. Knowledge was strength, unity was power, and choice was freedom. And now nothing, not the council, not fear, and not the unknown, could take that away. Mira took a deep breath, her eyes fixed on the distant pulses of light. Earth had survived the greatest test yet, and humanity was ready for what came next.